Hi there! If you are tuning into this podcast, it means one of two things. Either you have no clue about managing your finances or you want to take them to the next level. Either way, we've got you covered. Financially Ever After is for the modern day Indian professional who is ready to take control of their financial journey. So let's start building your financial future one episode at a time. Welcome to Financially Ever After. So, in today's episode, we're super excited because we're talking to three people who have achieved financial freedom in their 20s. That's Hema, Abhishek, and Ankit. And they'll be sharing their personal experiences, what hacks they used, lessons they learned. So, you can apply this wisdom to your own journey. And feel free to connect with the guest that you feel most, that you related to the most, or you liked the most after the show, because I'm sure they'll be happy to continue this conversation one on one with you. So, I'm super excited and I hope you are too to hear some real life stories that I am sure will inspire you. So, without further ado, the first person I want to introduce is Hema Anirudh. She is a nutrition coach from Bangalore. So she quit her corporate job and now she's pursuing her passion for health and wellness. She works with more than 100 professionals and helps them achieve their fitness goals. Her mantra, which she told me, is discipline over motivation. And I think that's awesome. And she applies it not only to her fitness goals, but also to her financial goals. So I met Hema recently to consult her for my own fitness, and I loved speaking with her. So she told me more about her story and how she stood courageously in the face of both peer and parent pressure to follow her own financial path, and I think that's great. So I knew I definitely wanted to have her on my show. So thanks so much for being here, Hema.
Thanks, Medha. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. And I'm excited to get to this entire conversation and that to be part of your premiere. So,
Thanks, Hema. All right. So the next person is Abhishek Bhatia. He is a young entrepreneur from Delhi. His startup Baby Steps is based out of Gurgaon. So he graduated from SRCC and then he was working as an investment banking at KPMG. And he's also worked with a couple of startups before starting his own venture. So he too now is pursuing his passion. Fun fact about Abhishek is that he's one of the sweetest people you'll ever meet, but he's also one of the most proper. I don't think in all the years I've known Abhishek, I've ever seen him in a t-shirt. Like he's always in like this white, crisp, sort of Wall Street shirt. So Abhishek, thank you so much for being here. And are you still wearing a shirt right now for this audio event?
I don't think I should be disclosing what I'm wearing right now. It'd be pretty disappointing. But I'm sure like some of my friends are in the call, they'd be laughing their asses off right now because like what you sort of described me as is something that they wouldn't necessarily use for me.
Okay.
But thank you for the sweet introduction. So, my name is Abhishek. I'm based out of Gurgaon. I'm a pretty ordinary guy. I like football. I like video games, but something that I'm really passionate about, something I'm really excited about right now is the venture that I'm working on, which is called Baby Steps, which is a consolidated platform for new parents, to help them with information, products, specialists, and the community aspects. That's what we're working on right now. We're very excited for what's to come.
Thanks,
Thank you
Abhishek.
for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. All right. And finally, Ankit. Ankit is a co-founder with me at Wealth Up. He is an engineer from BITS Pilani. I think everyone somehow starts off as an engineer in India, I feel. But he too found his passion in finance, although very early on in his second year of university. He worked as an investment banker with Swiss Bank UBS in India and New York. And again, fun fact, he was financially free at the age of 29. But another fun fact is that he loves dosa, and like I've seen him just eat dosa everywhere we go. So, North India, South India, it doesn't matter. He's always, that's his go-to default option on the menu. So welcome, Ankit. And, just if you want to add anything to that intro.
Well, thanks, Medha. And dosa I like dosa. Thank you everyone for joining. Very excited to be, doing this with Medha, Hema, and Abhishek. And I should hope that people do get some real learning, something that they can, some hacks, something that things that worked for us, and if they can, implement it in their own lives.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Ankit. So let's jump right into it. Now we're hearing this whole thing about fire and retiring early. So I want to ask you, what is the biggest mistake that you think people are making that is stopping them from becoming financially free? What do you think?
See, one thing that I see is like many a times people go for lifestyle expansion. Like when their income is increasing, they just keep increasing and expanding their lifestyle. Okay, so better house, better car, better vacations and whatnot. And there is nothing wrong with it in just sort of upgrading your lifestyle as your income grows. But I generate, I take a mathematical approach to it. And people who know me, they know that I work with numbers. So say if your income is increasing by 10%, your expenses should increase by half of that percent. So in this case, if your income is increasing by 10%, your expenses should increase by 5%. So like in investment banking, like I'm just sharing my own story. Like in investment banking, bonuses are like Christmas, New Year, Diwali, everything combined into one. And people actually work for bonus, not really for their salary. And I made it a point that I'm not going to touch the bonus. I increased my expenses, like the equation I mentioned, but even when I was doing that, I was not really expanding my daily expenses. I was, making trips, traveling, say Miami, Goa, London, Mexico, wherever. But still, I was like, okay, I'll be walking to office every day. Even in winters of New York, which is minus 20, minus 25 degrees Celsius, and sort of snow to your knees, winter kind of thing. And but I was not spending, say, $3 or so on the subway, which would be something like $80, $90, $100 in a month. Rather, I invested in boots, like snow boots, for $100. And that lasted my entire time in New York. And man, I love those boots. Of course, I can't, wear them in Bangalore. But just planning it in a way that you are not, just expanding your lifestyle and trying to be in a way you are able to save more money so that you can spend it wherever. So all the trips that I was going for, that is how I was funding it.
Yeah, so Ankit, you're also being fit by doing that, right? So you're just walking everywhere and then.
Yeah. Yeah, why not save money wherever you those small little money wherever you can.
And then you're also getting fit in the process. So that's like a good double bonus.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. I kind of, I don't know, LinkedIn crashed for me. Metha, so sorry.
Yeah, no, please go ahead. You were saying something.
Yeah. So when you asked me the question, what's the biggest thing that's stopping people from reaching their goals is lifestyle expansion. Like even before people get their hike, they know the hike period is coming. They already plan their big purchases. I will upgrade my laptop. I will upgrade my phone. I will move from a 2 BHK, a big bonus anticipated. So I'll move from a 2 BHK to a 3 BHK and then to a villa. The lifestyle expansion is already planned even before the hype cycle comes into picture. So you will never end up saving or as much as you need to because of these expansions that keep happening. That's the biggest thing I've seen when I was in early in my career. The shopping and there's so much that you spend every month that you don't have money left for investment. So one of the things that people should instead do, like Ankit said, is put away more money for investment. Increase your step up. Increase your step up to say 10%, 15%, 20% as your income grows instead of doing it as an upgrade to your expenses.
Yeah. So it's funny that both of you mentioned lifestyle expansion. And, I think that's something that happens, like even if you don't, it's just something that happens like psychology wise. Like, I have more money, I'm going to, spend more money, go to nicer restaurants, stay at nicer hotels, that kind of a thing. So what do you think, Abhishek? Is that something that you resonate with?
So somewhat I do agree. Like my experiences have been similar, like everyone else. So the most common trait that I do notice is that once people start making more money, the expenses also go up, right? But I do think, till a certain age, it is somewhat understandable considering, when you start out, you're anyways not making that much, right? Most people aren't. So, having said that, like having a certain amount of discipline and making a few sacrifices here and there, and having like a plan or a structure in place early on, I think it really does go a long way, right? And it sort of becomes a habit. Like if you can't control yourself, if you can't control your impulse, like you're bound to make bad decisions, and you're bound to your expenses to go up when you start making more money. It's just bound to happen, right? So like personally, like I have a very frugal lifestyle. I live a very frugal lifestyle. I'm very, very, careful about where I spend my money. So by the time I started earning, I already had a decent corpus, right, from saving like birthday money, grandparents' money, all of that.
Wow, you actually like even as a child, you put away those like lifafas
Yeah.
that you get at
Yeah,
Diwali.
yeah, I would.
Okay.
So every time I have to buy sweets, I would actually just take money from my brother instead. I wouldn't use my own money. I did use there's a couple of hacks here and there. Feel free to note those down. So always use your siblings' money to buy snacks. Save your own money. And yeah, so the point I'm trying to make is, like it's okay to spend money, but you have to have some structure to your lifestyle, to how you go about spending your money, right? So yeah.
Okay,
Actually,
so
that's a very good point. And I think when you're working hard to get those increments and bonuses, I think it's good and it's important to reward yourself. But again, a balance. I keep I focus a lot on balance, maintaining a balance. Be it anything, be it so health. Even like Hema would say, she's a nutrition coach, right? She wouldn't say that you should give up everything. It's all about balance.
The 80-20 rule applies everywhere in life, right? You just have to do the right thing 80% of the time to get the result that you want. The 20% doesn't matter. So don't focus too much on the 20% that you're doing wrong.
That's so wisely said. Yeah.
So, okay, everyone's talking about saving. That's a whole other beast about, because I think a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck, even though they may be making whatever money. Like, I hear so many, it doesn't matter whether they are just starting out or not. I think, our previous generation, I think, saved a little bit too much. So, we are all in like this anti saving mode, and, the brands don't help, right? Because they just make things so attractive that you want to shop and buy more. I'm just curious to know, like, let's say that you do manage to save. Ankit, like, what did you do with the money you were saving, right? Like, what is the next step? Like, okay, I saved. Now, what do I do?
So you must have heard of this out of sight, out of mind, right? So when it comes to money, when you don't see it, you don't spend it. And I thought of using this psychology to my advantage, wherein I set up an automatic money transfer from my salary account to another bank account. So as soon as I get a salary, automatically whatever amount I need to save or what I want to save gets automatically transferred to the other bank account. And from there, I would invest. And so I invest in stocks a lot. So whenever there is an opportunity, I would invest from there. If not, I mean, if an investment opportunity is not there, if market is very expensive, I would just park my fund in some liquid, low risk fund. But I wouldn't, leave that money in my bank account, because essentially I'm losing money when that is lying in my bank account because of such low interest rate that we get.
Okay. So basically, invest your money is what you're saying. I mean, like, sort of.
It's like just keeping it out of your sight. I mean, just keep it completely in a different bank account so that you don't get to see it.
Okay,
That's
so
the first
then,
step.
yeah.
And then, of course, investing will come after that.
So then,
Yeah, but I do feel like, for most people, when they see that like that stock price go up and they see the green number appear, a lot of people would tend to take that money out. So like, having it out of sight is like really important part that even I struggled with initially. I would think once I make a little bit of money, the objective actually does matter. So if you're like investing or saving to make a purchase, or if you're investing or saving for the long term. So like with that in mind, like a lot of people would take out that money once they make a decent amount of profit on it, right?
Okay, that's
Ankit, how would you stop yourself from doing that?
So, okay, when it comes to it, when you have seen profit in your investments, nothing wrong in booking that profit and taking that profit, because time to time it's like you bought something cheap and say it has already reached whatever you were expecting it to be. Your market is very high. It's actually good that you are booking it. But again, for me, it's like all my transactions related to investments, they happen from a separate account, not from my main account, from where I get my income and where I make my expenses. So even if I have sold some investment at a profit, it will be coming to a different bank account, and that is not my investment. That is not my expense account, anyways. So I'm not seeing that money in for expenditure. And it's market, so it has gone up. So it will come down. So again, when that opportunity presents, I would again like to reinvest it.
okay. There's some disturbance, I think, from your mic, so you might want to
I'm
check
sorry.
that. Yeah. So I want to pick on something Abhishek said, right? So Abhishek said that you save to either consume or you save to invest. So basically, you're either saving because you want to, buy something, or you're saving because you're just long-term saving, and you want to put in investment. So Ankit, like back again to you, like how do you manage that, right? Like how do you, and as a young person, if you're in your 20s, how do you actually figure all this stuff out?
See, I think particularly when you are in your early 20s, there are so many things that you would like to buy. You just started working and you had an old phone, old laptop, or you haven't gone for you have always wanted to go for a trip or whatever it is. First of all, decide what are you saving towards. As Abhishek pointed towards, are you saving it towards consumption or are you saving it for the long term, which is like sort of actually investing. Once you have figured that out, it's like the amount that you are thinking of putting aside for consumption, say in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, whenever you want to do that, put it in a relatively, I used to put it in a relatively low risk and kind of liquid fund so that there is not much risk associated with it and I can withdraw it whenever I want without worrying too much about where the market is. And for the rest of my money, which is like for the long term, I would invest it in a diversified portfolio. So and which is of course that portfolio should be aligned to my preferences. It shouldn't be the case that I'm just copying it from someone else, because every individual is different. And like I invest in shares, equity mutual fund, debt mutual fund, gold mutual funds, whatnot. And a very common mistake that I have seen people make is they invest in shares, they invest in equity mutual fund, and they think that they have a diversified portfolio, which is just not the case. All your exposure is in equity, which is a lot of risk.
Okay.
So
All right. So just because we're talking about investing, just a side point, right? Like I see a lot of people, especially the ones who are not very financially literate, they'll tell me that, okay, what I've done? I've bought like blue chip company shares, like, like stock of blue chip companies, and I'm just going to hold it for many years. And, of course, it's going to give return in the long run. So is that a good strategy? Just buy the popular stuff and just hold it.
when it comes to investing now, there are two decisions to be made. First of all, what to invest in. So which stock you are buying or which mutual fund you are buying. And the second thing is at what price. So when you're talking about say blue chip, a few of the most common names will be say Reliance, TCS, Tata Motors, ITC, and companies like those. These are good companies, generally speaking, strong companies. But again, you need to know what price you are getting in at, because if you have bought these at an expensive price, the return that you can make even in the long run, 3 years, 5 years, is going to be lower than what you could have made if you would have bought it at a relatively cheaper price. So two analyses are needed there. Stocks, what to invest in and at what price.
Okay. So we've been talking for about 20 minutes now. I want to also open it up to the audience members. So if you have any question, or if you want to just, jump into the conversation, please raise your hand and we'll be, happy to include you in the talk. And you don't have to be a financial expert to participate. Just anyone, feel free to raise your hand. And so let's move on. So Abhishek, you're the youngest member here among the three guests. So what has been sort of your biggest financial learning, in your journey towards becoming financially free?
Right. So for me personally, my parents had always, involved my brother and I into the finances for the house. So whether that was expenses, budgeting, where we were investing money and all of that. So I was already sort of, pushed towards being more conscious when it comes to money. And then once I did start doing it myself, I was a little bit apprehensive in the beginning because I knew my father was a very conservative, investor, and I didn't want to go for the same route, right? So I had to sort of make my own decision for myself, to come up with a plan that I was comfortable with, right? So that was different. That was a little bit hard to do because there were a lot of mistakes I made along the way. Some things worked out, some things didn't. One thing I would say, for people our generation is that FOMO is a big thing. So something I can recall is, when crypto had initially picked up a lot, I still remember the first time Masket tweeted about Dogecoin. I was on a call with one of my friends, and he had already invested initially before the tweet, right? And then the price started going up, and it went up 15%, and it was like late at night. And like out of impulse, I ended up investing a little bit of money. Luckily, it still went up, but that was like a lesson for me, like not to make these impulsive decisions. So definitely do not, don't just blindly follow what people are doing around you. Do not give in to FOMO. There's always going to be an opportunity. Like, do study before you get into something, right? And yeah, like I think the best thing to do is, like take baby steps. You don't have to just start big. Start small. Start with a little bit. I'll start with maybe one asset class, and then move on to the next. Yeah, just start somewhere and then start small. That would be.
I see what you did there, Abhishek, with baby steps.
Yeah, shameless plug there.
All right. So I think that's a very good point. And also, I think a lot of people felt you when you talked about crypto, because I think, it's like, a lot of people I know have burned their fingers. So it's something that people can relate to. I know people who have started with investing in crypto, so they have no other investments, which is like ridiculous. So Hema, what about you? Ever felt FOMO? You seem like a fitness coach, so I feel like you don't get FOMO, or you're so disciplined, is my impression.
Yes. So I have never put my money in crypto for the reason that I've always just taken. I'm not that risk. I'm a little risk averse, so I wouldn't tread into those waters. For me, like you rightly said, Megha, I think of everything in the terms of fitness and then health. So this FOMO comes even in when people try to lose weight or get fit. They will do some random workout from on YouTube that they find, and then they do it for 2 days a week, and then they expect abs or biceps to build
magic abs,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, and same with they'll figure out that this celebrity is doing this fad diet. Let me just do the same thing because they achieve that result, that we achieve the same result. That's exactly what happened with Dogecoin or any other the stocks that I keep saying on Twitter all the time. Oh, this is a multi-bagger. My favorite word actually, multi-bagger. This is a multi-bagger, which is you have to put all your money in it. So this is what happens this is a parallel you can draw. You don't do that to achieve your fitness goals. You still have to eat sustainably every single day. You have to make sure you're eating healthy, you're working out every single day to achieve the results that you choose. So why try to find a shortcut with money, right? Money and health, wealth and health, both of these are equal, in many, many ways. So maybe no shortcuts. Go the slow way, go the slow route. Be patient, and then don't get into FOMO. Maybe you'll reach your goals sooner than you expected than losing all your money because you had this whole FOMO and then you just bought some really, really risky stuff.
What about you?
Hema, what you said, like these things, being disciplined about it, doing these things daily, these are boring things to do.
And it's hard. It's hard, Ankit.
It is hard.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it is hard. But these are the things that actually get you real results.
Yes. So on Instagram, when you see someone who has these biceps, they're literally doing the boring work every single day. They're eating healthy every single day. They're working out. They're spending time in the gym every single day. That's the boring work. It doesn't come overnight. The same thing applies to money. You don't grow rich overnight unless something happens and you just have one
No, then unless you like.
You just, over there, like in such situations, it's like sort of a rare event, and you just got lucky, sort of beat beginner's luck or whatever you may call it, but it's not sustainable.
But beginner's luck, I feel like, doesn't, of course, it's not sustainable, it doesn't last, but it's also something that is, a bad thing, right? Because you feel like you'll get lucky again, but you rarely do, like, lightning doesn't kind of
then you
strike
end up
twice.
losing big.
Yeah, you'll end up losing big because you bet bigger, It's like almost like gambling.
Like a casino.
Yeah, like a casino, which actually a lot of people think investing in stock market is like gambling, but that's a topic for a whole different LinkedIn audio. But yeah, Ankit, what about you? Ever felt FOMO?
Sort of. You can say when I got to know about Bitcoin, it was at $24 a Bitcoin, and sort of I was dicey if I should invest or not. But I, just a few months back prior to that, I read a quote from Warren Buffett around price and value. Whenever you are investing in something, you should understand what the true value is. And I was never able to understand what the value of Bitcoin is. And back then, I think Bitcoin was the only one which was sort of popular. So I was never able to understand what the underlying value is. So never got into that. So I don't know if it was FOMO or not, but never caved into it.
So, since we're talking about becoming financially free in your 20s, I don't know if a lot of the audience are in your 20s. If you are, you can just drop a emoji and let me know if you're in your 20s right now. But the point being, especially when you're young, a lot of people in your family will tell you what to do with your money. So, like your parents will have gyan for you, that, random uncle will say, yahan paise laga do, aise save kar lo, whatever, right? So, any of you felt that, Hema, I know you have, right? Because as being a woman, we are just assumed like we don't know anything about money. We are like, completely incapable of managing our finances, I think.
Yeah.
So, anyone ever told you that, you should do this or that with your money, and how did you manage that?
Yeah, so I think one of the, I think I told you, Vedha, right? We were discussing that I started investing when I was 18. I used to take tuitions when I was in college, and then I had some extra money, and then I had some scholarship. I just want to put it in a good place, and a well-meaning friend said, "Hey, PPF, why? Because my father put it in PPF, so you should also do the same thing." And I opened my first PPF then. So there are other things, right? When I started working, I was told you should give all your money to your mom or your dad, and then they will manage your money for you. Somehow it didn't sit well with me, and I never did that. I very, very strongly opposed it. I said that's my money, and I will deal it with the way I think is good. And I read about it, and then I started, exploring how to invest. So this is a very big pressure that a lot of people, unfortunately, are not able to not say no to. And yeah, so I think we just should take a stand and read about it, or even consult companies like yours who are helping. I mean, when I started out, there was nothing like what you guys do. So there are so many resources these days, and we can literally just put your money in something with a little bit of reading, a little bit of research, without having someone tell you, hey, you don't know how to manage.
Okay.
So
Meera, we have two members who would like to speak, so I'll invite them.
Yeah, sure. Aryaman, why don't we get Aryaman on in the call?
Hi, Aryaman.
Hi, Aryaman. Do you want to introduce yourself? Let us know who you are.
You're on mute, so please unmute yourself and speak. Okay, I'll invite Umair as well.
Yeah, Umair can go next. So,
hi, Umair.
Hi, everyone. Umair this side. Am I audible?
Yeah, hi, Umair. We can hear you. Please introduce yourself. Let us know, who you are, which city are you from?
Yes, so I'm Umair. I'm currently doing my master's degree in the UK.
Okay.
I worked in India 2 years before this at 3RE, which is essentially in the development sector.
Okay.
And yeah, I struggled with something back then, and it goes back to the point that you made, which is right now you have 100 different options as to how you can invest.
Yeah.
And you said that there's something as a little reading, but with the abundance of information on the internet, I don't think that's true. I always found it to be kind of overwhelmed. in the sense of different opinions that you get with different articles. So some people say you should do index funds. Some people say you're young, you should do more of the stock market because you can absorb that risk in the long term. And I just think there's this oversaturation of information out there.
Yeah.
And just the best way to navigate through that, just so that your financial planning becomes a part of your life and not all of your life.
Yeah.
And
So, sure. Thanks, Omer. I think Ankit would be the best person to answer that. But before, he answers, I think, that's a problem with every industry. So, we're talking about finance, so that's true. But Hema could say the same thing about health, or, Abhishek could say the same thing about parenting. I think nowadays there's just so many creators and there's just so much information available online that it's overwhelming if you're really trying to figure out what's the best thing for you. So, Ankit, over to you. How can one navigate through this? And Ankit, I think your mic is still kind of making some sound.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I don't know what to do about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Umair, actually, what you have said now, it's a very common problem in any sector, any field, and it's also like when you are focused, you have a full-time job, right? I mean, be it your studies, be it your job, or whatever, but you are busy with what you are doing, and be it health. Health is not the only thing that you can keep thinking about, or managing your money. That can't be the only thing that you can be thinking about. You're already working hard enough. You want to enjoy your life, and say working for 5 days, 6 days a week, and for the whatever small amount of time is left, you would actually prefer enjoying it. So whenever you need, in whichever sector you need help, I think it's better to talk to an expert who's actually dedicated to follow that market, understand what is good and what's not. Because many a times when you are just googling things online or listening to influencers, they give you general gyan without understanding your unique situation. And any suggestion that they're giving, I'm not saying it is good or bad, but what I can say for sure is that not every piece of advice will be applicable for everyone. So from that perspective, I mean, if you are taking help of an expert, that person can help you in making the right decisions and helping you achieve whatever your goal is faster.
But Ankit, when you were young, you probably didn't have access to an expert, right? So what would you say to someone who doesn't have access to an expert, can't afford an expert, and still wants to do it on their own? Yeah, Abhishek, go ahead.
So with the problem of abundance of information, right? Is there a way to barring the fact that you can't talk to an expert, when you're going through so much information online, is there a way to actually filter through this information to find out whether this is applicable to you or relevant to you or not? Is there any way to do that, especially when it comes to finances, right? Because a lot of people, I'm sure, go online for financial help, right, without even having to speak with an expert, which might not be the best thing to do. But is there any way to filter that information?
Good.
See, it is actually difficult, Abhishek, because if you don't know much about the various products, it's difficult because even if you are, going for comparison between, say, product A and product B, based on where you are reading, which platform you are reading it on, there can be mixed opinion, not always, but they can be mixed opinion. One thing that you can do is, of course, spend some more time, read from various sources. Don't rely on just one source unless you have found one source of information which you find very reliable, and of course that reliability, that trust builds over time. But till you are learning, probably you can just check it with someone else who you think is few steps ahead of you. So, Medha, you asked me, when I started working, I was not in a position to, or, a service like when I can talk to an expert at an affordable rate wasn't available. So what I tried doing was, I think 5 months, 6 months into my job, and I had some savings. I sort of caught my manager, who was, I think, 5 years or so senior to me. I caught him around water cooler, and then I was asking him, hey, what do you do with your savings? Because I do have some money lying in my bank account and I don't know what to do with it. So how do you manage it? And he was like, well, actually, my wife is a wealth manager, so I give all my money to her, and she does it for me.
Wow, that's new.
So, I'm sorry.
That's new. You usually don't hear of the equation being flipped. So
Actually, that is true. That is true. So that wasn't very helpful. But I talked to a few more people, few colleagues, friends who were relatively ahead, few steps ahead of me, to gather their thoughts. But I never blindly. Actually, I shouldn't say never, because I did follow few people blindly, and I burnt my fingers. That is when I understood. Okay, even when whenever whatever gyan you are getting from whoever, see if it is applicable to you, because obviously if there is no one who can handhold you, you will have to do some more heavy weightlifting.
yeah. So, I mean, we always say that, if you have a coach or like someone to guide you, you can always fast track your progress, right? So, that's always the case with anything you're trying to achieve. Ume, does that answer your question or does that help at all?
No, it definitely does. I think what I see from it is obviously seeking advice from people who are definitely more experienced, and trying not to diversify that advice as much as well. I think.
Yeah, I think too much
Yeah, I think
advice
that's
is
true.
also, yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, because I think if you talk to too many people, that also tends to get confusing. Pick somebody that you respect, that you trust, and someone who has done it. So, this is, I think, the difference, right? Like, if you are going to take fitness advice from someone, like if I go to Hema, she better be fit herself. Otherwise, I'm not going to trust her advice. So, whoever you think is doing a good job, I think that is a fairly good person to approach.
I mean, I think, Meta, that's a great advice. When you're taking an advice from someone, that person should have achieved what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And secondly, Umair, another thing that I would like to add is, that person should not be too different from you.
Yeah, good point.
Sort of similar boat. I mean, if you're taking advice, so even in case of health, if say my parents, somewhere in my parents' generation, or maybe someone even more senior is very fit, what they would have done and what they would have been able to achieve. Because I constantly keep listening, keep hearing from relatively senior people that bhai tum log to अच्छे से खाते नहीं हो, and things like that. But the thing is, it's also about the kind of food that is available in the market, the kind of ghee that is available in the market, the kind of fruits, vegetables that are available in the market. They are not that good now. So what worked for them, it will not work directly for me. And same goes for even for financial planning. Back then, for the previous generation, the kind of products that they worked with and what actually worked for them may not work for us. So when you're taking advice from someone, just also see that person should be more or less similar to yours, because the chances that their solution would work for you is going to be higher.
All right.
Okay, Ariman is back. I'll just invite him back. So, Neil, I'm going to move you back to listening. Hi, Ariman.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you. Please introduce yourself.
Alright. Yeah, my name is Ayman. Yeah, I'm a footballer currently playing in Portugal. So my main question was basically I'm currently in a line where a lot of like instability in my career, like there is in sports. So how does one deal with like finances in that area? And how Abhishek also mentioned, FOMO. So I tend to like miss out on a lot of things that people might be doing, since I have games on the weekend or training every day. So how does he deal with those kind of situations, and how to go through like this instability when you don't have maybe a constant flow, or basically how to deal with things like that?
Okay, Mita, should I go ahead with this?
Yeah, I mean, whoever wants to answer, but
I don't mind answering his formal question.
yeah, Abhishek,
Please, Abhishek, go ahead.
So stuff like this, Arya, I think the best thing to do is that you have to be to prioritize, and you have to really think about what is more important to you. So, for example, a lot of your friends might be in London, they might be out drinking and stuff, right? But for you, that has a lot of health implications, right? Going out drinking very often, binge drinking, all these things would affect your performance, right? So for you really do have to prioritize what's more important to you. It's going out with friends, like sometimes I think it's fine, right? If you can control yourself and balance, then that's good. But there will be times that you will have to make a sacrifice and prioritize either your career, or there might be spending time with either your friends or family, or maybe over your career even. So there will be different times where you have to prioritize differently, right? So I think the best way to do it is just think about what's more important in that time for you. If your career is more important for you right now, you will have to make a few sacrifices, and actually think about the future. Think about what that might hold for you, right? So try and think of it. Try and think of it in that sense. I think that should be decent enough for you to be okay with making those sacrifices. A little bit of FOMO is fine. Everyone goes through that.
So I just want to plus one to what Abhishek said, that okay, so when I started working full time on Wealth Up, we were now like not getting a salary from anywhere, right? And that is when we started, when COVID kind of happened and the markets were crazy cheap, like everything was crashing. It was a great time to buy, but I didn't have money to actually put into the markets because I had to invest in my business. So I think another thing that we have to remember is that markets will go up and down. Whatever new thing is happening, it will kind of happen again. I mean, like there are always periods of bust and boom. So it's like maybe right now I need to focus on my business and growing this, and then when I have money, I will definitely invest it as well. So I think it's also like kind of telling yourself that your time will sort of come. I don't know. And I know Abhishek always we were talking earlier, and Abhishek said that when he is missing out on something, he makes sure that it's worth it. So for example, like Abhishek, if you want to talk about, like, why am I saying that? You remember you were telling me, like, if you're
Right.
not going out, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so there's this. So I've actually told my friends this as well. So every time we make a plan about going out and stuff, and I might ditch. Not going for these scenes actually makes me more motivated to do my work, because then I know I'm missing out on something fun, right? So it just like motivates me to even work harder. So stuff like that helps. These are like little things that might not make sense to some people, but for me personally, like I understand myself, and for me, if I'm missing out on something, I really want to make take out as much value as I can at that time. So I used to do that a lot, and my friends used to make fun of me for saying that, but it works. So
Yeah.
whatever works for you.
I'd like to add something here.
Yeah.
So I think I was just discussing this with a client today. How eating healthy, or trying to make sure you're watching your food and exercising becomes like a taboo topic, or even people making fun of you for doing that, while waking up late, not exercising, eating whatever you want, drinking as much as you want, has sort of become the new normal.
Yeah,
So
it's like
anyone
you're not
who's
living
kind
your
of-
life. It's like you're not
Yes.
living, you're not enjoying life.
So a lot of times I'm a marathoner, so I'm training for my full marathon, and most of the time I say no to a lot of social engagement, because I go to bed at 9:50, and a lot of people say, "Hey, you live such a boring life," but I also wake up at 4:30 a.m. and then I run. So for me, that's more important, because that makes me happy. So yeah, I guess it's just what has become the new normal when you try to do something that's different, and maybe good for your own self and your future self. You sort of become this lonely person, but you have to sort of become comfortable with that, or find friends and find your circle who are more into
Yeah.
that sort of thing, so that you don't feel alone.
But I mean, now I understand why all of you are financially free, because it seems like you're so focused and disciplined towards your goals. So it totally makes sense why you are, where you are today. So, Ankit, I just wanted to.
Actually, I want to add a couple of points here.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, Arya, Ariman, your opportunities will come. Different types of opportunities will keep presenting to you. From time to time. Few, like, particularly for you, it's like when it comes to sports, it's more demanding, more challenging, and opportunities are more difficult to come by. And what Hema mentioned earlier about 80-20, probably it will be something like 90-10 or maybe 95-5 for you. You have to be even more disciplined about your routine, your food, and whatnot. But okay, when it comes to finances, we understand key with sports person finances, income can be more unstable, and it's kind of similar to people who are contract employees or freelancers. So what you should do is there will be times when you'll be making very good amount of money. Okay, so generally speaking, it's like how mostly salaried people manage their money is like they get salary in their account, the salary account, and from there they just transfer a fixed amount of money to their savings, or investment account or whatever is there for long term, and then they spend money from there. Other option, for someone like you, is the money that is coming, it should come in a separate account, and for your expenses, you take a fixed amount of it from there every month. So it may be the case that your expenses are say 50,000 a month, and suddenly you get 5 lakh for playing somewhere or winning a tournament or something. But that 5 lakh shouldn't come to your expense account; it should be in your investment account, and from there you are withdrawing this 50,000 every month to your expense account and spending from there. That'll keep your expenses in check, and your investments, particularly when you're making good money, that will also keep.
Got it.
Cool. Anything else, Ariman? Any other questions?
No, that is it. Thank you for all the information.
Thanks.
Vedha, I think Mannat raised her hand.
Yeah, but she's
Can't
not.
see her.
Yeah, she's not
I
on.
think she dropped off. Probably she may be back.
We're just wrapping up the conversation now. I want you all to share your one key takeaway from the session, so you can think about it. And for me, the biggest takeaway listening to the three of you was that, man, like being financial free is not easy. Like, you know, even in the conversation with the little stories that you've shared, I can tell how disciplined and kind of consistent and dedicated you guys were. And I think that is why a lot of people are not able to do it, because it takes the boring work to do this. So that has been my takeaway. For all the people who are still with us listening, thank you so much for being with us while the guests are kind of thinking of their main takeaway. Just wanted to share that whatever you learned from the session, do make a post about it and share it so we can share the knowledge. You don't even have to tag us or the event or anything or any of the speakers. Just share whatever you learned, what your learnings were, because I think more people should know about this. And we're doing this every Thursday. Next week, our topic is going to be the Engineer's Guide to Finances. Let's start with Abhishek. Abhishek, your key takeaway, one final message you want to leave people with.
Right. I'm pretty short. Discipline, impulse control, and start now.
Okay, awesome. Hema, what about you?
Small steps matter, and that's Ankit taking steps and then not taking a subway. So small steps matter a lot. You won't realize it, but when it compounds, you'll realize the benefit of it. So that's the biggest takeaway.
So I'm going to be the one to say baby steps. Like,
Thank you. Appreciate it.
all right, so baby steps matter. Ankit, what about you?
Well, I will take a few things from both of them, Abhishek and Hema. First of all, start early. Don't procrastinate. Start early. Start like now. And second thing is, don't follow advice blindly. Do your own research for anything that you want to do. Wealth, health, parenting, anything for that matter. And what Hema said about those baby steps. There have been actually a number of memes going on that saving $5 on your Starbucks every day is not going to help you be rich. I disagree with it, because it's not the $5 or what do we say, 100, 200 rupees on coffee or anything that you're spending regularly on that will make a difference, but it's the habit. When you learn how to fix these small leakages in your financial planning, it can yield, big results. So, yeah.
Awesome. With that, we have come to the end of the hour. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to us, and you'll be with us next week. Thank you so much for attending. There are 13 people still here. So thank you so much. And I hope you guys enjoyed.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all the guests. Thank you, all the listeners.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. And this is the first event that we have done. We're planning to do it every Thursday. Looking forward to seeing all of you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And guys, do share whatever learnings you have. As Nitha mentioned, feel free to share. Just put it as your own learning, but share it with people, whatever you think is relevant. You don't need to tag us, but share it with people. Spreading knowledge is important.
Yeah. All right then. Thank you. Goodbye then. Have a good evening. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Goodbye.
Good night.